Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where we bring you the most crucial developments in global currency shifts. If you've held on to Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong with a hope of witnessing their revaluation, this update could mark a defining moment. With reports suggesting unprecedented changes, many are wondering if the long-awaited shift is finally underway. In this segment, we'll explore the latest developments, how they affect you, and what steps you need to consider as we stand on the brink of what could be a transformative financial window. There's a rising current of chatter across the global currency exchange community, with increasing reports that redemption centers are now operational. What's catching everyone's attention isn't just their existence, it's the rates being offered. We're seeing figures far beyond the usual speculation. Some claims point to exchange values that could dramatically alter personal wealth, and while the landscape of currency exchange has seen many false starts, this situation feels different. Let's examine what's being shared and how it could impact your next move. To begin, we ask the fundamental question: what is truly happening with the Iraqi dinar, IQD, and the Vietnamese dong, VND, at this moment? Sources from within the exchange world are reporting private exchanges with shockingly high rates. Specifically, Iraqi dinar holders are allegedly receiving as much as $3.47 or even $3.91 per dinar. Meanwhile, whispers suggest that Vietnamese dong holders are being offered between $0.40 to $0.60 per note. These rates are far above the long-standing expectations held within the community. For those who've been holding these currencies patiently, this could represent the early phase of a larger revaluation rollout. While it's easy to get swept up in the excitement, it's essential to remain focused, cautious, and strategically informed. These opportunities, if confirmed, could shift quickly. Preparedness, not just hope, is now the key. One term making rounds is redemption centers. For many outside the currency world, this may be unfamiliar. Redemption centers are not typical banking locations. Instead, they are private, highly secure venues established to manage high-volume currency exchanges. These centers often require prior registration or a scheduled appointment, and they're designed to cater to investors who've acquired foreign currencies like the IQD and VND ahead of any official revaluation. Unlike public exchange desks found at banks or airports, these centers may be part of a broader financial strategy, sometimes aligned with governmental or international economic shifts. Their goal is to facilitate organized, secure transactions during sensitive financial transitions. If reports about these centers being open are accurate, that represents a major turning point for currency holders worldwide. Now, about those headline-making rates. A growing number of community sources suggest that exchanges for the dinar are taking place at values exceeding $3.00 per note. Consider the math. If you possess 1 million dinar and receive a rate of $3.47, that translates to over $3 million, 0 cents in return. Even the lower-end whispers of the dong, $0.40 to $0.60, could quickly add up for those holding large amounts. These aren't official figures from banks yet, but when multiple independent sources start echoing similar numbers, it's often a sign that movement is occurring behind the scenes. For those invested in these currencies, the momentum appears real. If accurate, this could be the moment you've anticipated. But timing will be everything. These exchange windows may not stay open for long, and hesitation could lead to missed opportunity. The question is, what steps should you take if these reports are authentic? First and foremost, do not assume that walking into a local bank will get you these rates. Most traditional financial institutions are not yet reflecting the changes. Redemption centers, especially those conducting exchanges at higher values, are usually accessible only through certain networks or prior arrangements. If you've ever registered with a currency group, email alert list, or private exchange community, now is the time to monitor them closely. Check your inbox. stay in touch with trusted sources. Some individuals are receiving updates through private emails, closed forums, or encrypted calls, but amidst all of this, one rule must be followed, without exception. Never send your currency to someone else for an exchange. If someone requests that you mail your IQD or VND, that's a warning sign. Your currency should remain in your possession until you arrive at a verified, secure location. This leads us into the topic of safety and awareness. When there is uncertainty, opportunists emerge. In moments like this, where anticipation is high and confirmation is scarce, scammers thrive. Be cautious with every interaction. If a person or group contacts you claiming to represent a redemption center, ask for proof. Verify details. Make no assumptions. Do your due diligence before making a move. Documentation is another critical piece of preparation. If a genuine appointment becomes available, you'll need more than just your notes. Have valid government-issued ID, any receipts showing where or how you obtained the currency, and, if possible, a written record of where you've stored the funds. Some redemption centers may request detailed supporting documents as part of their intake process. Beyond logistics, you must also prepare for the emotional and financial weight of what could be a life-altering event. Many of you have held on to these currencies for over a decade, some since 2003. You've endured countless ups and downs, remained hopeful through long stretches of silence, and stayed committed even when others doubted your decision. That perseverance may finally be bearing fruit, but don't let the emotional rush override wise decision-making. Let's now explore one of the most debated topics in recent financial discussions, the deletion of zeros from the Iraqi dinar. While the phrase might sound alarming to some, it's actually a strategy employed by several nations to simplify their currency systems and build economic confidence. Removing zeros from large denominations, such as converting 1,000 dinars into 1 or 10 dinars, isn't meant to reduce your purchasing power. It's designed to make transactions clearer, stabilize currency perception, and prepare the market for broader economic changes. Countries like Turkey and Zimbabwe have implemented similar changes in the past during their reform phases. In Iraq's case, such a move could indicate an effort to modernize and streamline its monetary system. If executed properly and with transparency, this approach can actually strengthen confidence in the dinar both locally and on the international stage. However, the key lies in how the government communicates and implements such a change. Transparency is everything. Public trust is earned when institutions explain changes clearly. If citizens are left in the dark or confused by vague announcements, panic can spread, leading to rushed decisions or misinformation. On the other hand, if the Central Bank of Iraq and related financial bodies provide step-by-step guidance, this transition can foster stability and acceptance. That's why it's so important for every currency holder, especially those abroad, to stay plugged into verified news sources, official statements, and experienced voices in the financial space. Now let's consider the practical implications. If zeros are deleted or the exchange value rises dramatically, wages, pensions, and savings must be recalibrated accordingly. Imagine receiving the same monthly salary amount but with fewer digits while prices stay the same. That would destroy purchasing power. This is where governmental responsibility becomes crucial. Salaries must be adjusted proportionally, and savings must retain their value. A successful revaluation depends not just on the new rate, but on preserving the people's ability to buy goods, pay rent, and live day to day. So how does this impact you directly? If these changes roll out in full, it will touch every aspect of daily life, from receipts at grocery stores to digital payment apps, rental contracts, utility bills, and more. Financial institutions will need to update systems, businesses will have to adjust pricing, and consumers will need time to adapt. This can be overwhelming, but if handled carefully with government support, the long-term payoff could be tremendous. A stabilized currency, improved trade relations, and increased foreign investment. Ultimately, this can fuel job creation and strengthen the economy for everyday Iraqis. Many viewers are already asking, what happens if I miss the window to exchange? It's a valid concern, but rest assured, if this rollout is truly underway, it won't vanish in hours. Redemption centers are unlikely to operate on a one-day-only basis. These transitions typically occur in waves or appointment-based phases. That means there will be multiple opportunities, especially for those who remain connected to well-established exchange networks or credible currency groups. The important thing is to stay ready. Keep your documentation updated. Follow the developments from reputable sources. Avoid acting out of fear or impulse. And remember, the real danger isn't missing the window, it's falling for scams, misinformation, or making unplanned decisions when opportunity finally arrives. This brings us to an essential conversation: post-exchange responsibility. Imagine this scenario. Your exchange goes through and you now have access to substantial funds. What next? That's where the real challenge begins. Without a clear strategy, sudden wealth can disappear just as quickly as it arrives. The wisest approach is to plan in advance. Develop a post-exchange roadmap. Sit down with a licensed financial advisor, preferably one experienced in wealth management and currency transitions. Start with basic goals: paying off debt, building an emergency fund, exploring smart investments, and securing your future through long-term financial tools. If you've waited this long for a potential currency revaluation, it makes sense not to rush into risky spending or unstructured decisions. Think about the legacy you want to build. Consider education, real estate, supporting your community, or launching a business. This moment could set you up for more than financial comfort. It could open the door to meaningful, lasting impact. And don't overlook the importance of legal and tax planning. Depending on your country of residence, a sudden influx of cash might come with tax obligations or reporting requirements. Work with professionals who can guide you through the correct process, ensuring your new resources are protected and used wisely. The last thing you want is a surprise audit or penalties due to oversight. Beyond the personal, there's a broader vision emerging. If this currency shift takes place as many believe, the effects could ripple far beyond individual bank accounts. Entire communities could be uplifted. Families who've struggled for years might finally gain financial stability. Businesses might gain access to funding, and new opportunities could rise in sectors long burdened by instability. Think about Iraq itself. This is a nation that has faced decades of conflict, financial crisis, and political uncertainty. A strong dinar, fairly managed, could become a symbol of economic recovery. It can attract foreign investors, rebuild industries, and re-establish the country's role in global markets. The potential for transformation is immense, and it starts with responsible, well-informed currency holders like you. As we continue, it's essential to take a step back and look at the global picture. A revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, or the Vietnamese dong, wouldn't just affect holders of those currencies. The broader financial world is watching closely. International markets, central banks, and private institutions are all aware of what such a shift could trigger. A major currency adjustment in Iraq, if successful, may create a ripple effect, prompting policy changes, investment shifts, and financial repositioning by governments and investors worldwide. One way to monitor the legitimacy of ongoing developments is to watch for quiet movement within global banking systems. Are large wire transactions increasing from the Middle East? Are central banks subtly adjusting their holdings or exchange rate policies? Are international investment firms buying into emerging markets tied to Iraq or Vietnam? These subtle changes often occur before public announcements, so while the headlines may still be catching up, the backstage indicators might already be pointing to something real. Keep an eye on the international financial community's response, especially on platforms like SWIFT, IMF reports, and regional economic forecasts. If Iraq's dinar is moving toward a recognized and respected value, larger institutions will start signaling confidence. Often quietly at first. This is why it's critical to stay updated through reliable sources, not just forums or speculation. Also, pay attention to language changes from global leaders and major financial figures. If their tone toward Iraq shifts from caution to opportunity, it likely means institutional support is building. Financial powerhouses do not move quickly without reason. A revaluation, especially one that brings the dinar close to pre-2003 levels, would be a rare and significant event. If they begin to embrace it, you'll see the narrative move from fringe communities to mainstream financial news. And as always, timing matters. If this shift is in motion, don't expect it to follow a convenient schedule. Major currency moves are often deliberately unannounced to prevent market speculation or manipulation. Redemption windows may not be broadcast widely, and the best opportunities might go to those who've stayed diligent, followed trusted channels, and prepared in advance. There's also the matter of how people react during pivotal moments. Emotional responses, whether panic or excitement, can be dangerous. You've waited patiently for years. Now is not the time to rush. If the revaluation is genuine and the window opens, be calculated. Confirm everything. Read the fine print. Bring your full attention to each step of the process. Let's return briefly to the idea of community. One of the strengths of the dinar and dong investment world is the network of people who've shared information, encouragement, and insight over the years. This is a moment where those connections can become incredibly valuable. Reach out. Stay in dialogue with people you trust, ask questions, share resources, and most importantly, uplift each other. Whether you hold $500, 0 cents worth of currency, or $500,000, 0 cents, the principle remains the same. Make wise decisions that serve your future and reflect the patience that brought you this far. Also consider what you want your post-exchange life to look like. Do you want peace of mind, stability, and freedom from debt? Do you dream of travel, new ventures, or supporting loved ones? Take time now, before any exchange, to write down a plan. What will you do in the first 30 days after exchange? Who will you consult? Where will you place your money? These decisions made now can prevent rushed, regretful choices later. And don't underestimate the importance of security. If your exchange brings in significant funds, you will suddenly find yourself in a different financial category. Secure your digital life, protect your personal data, and avoid discussing details with anyone you don't absolutely trust. Financial gain attracts attention, sometimes the wrong kind. A quiet, disciplined approach is always safest. To wrap up, here's what we know based on multiple sources and credible patterns. Redemption centers may be operational right now. Private exchanges may already be taking place. Rates being reported, such as $3.47 to $3.91 for IQD and $0.40 to $0.60 for VND, are the highest we've ever seen discussed seriously. If accurate, this could be the most significant shift in modern currency history. But regardless of whether you've received confirmation yet or are still watching from the sidelines, your role remains the same. Stay ready, stay cautious, stay informed. This is a moment where knowledge, patience, and preparation could mean the difference between confusion and success. We urge every viewer to take these final thoughts seriously. Double-check all details. Don't rely on rumors. Protect your currency and your information. And don't let fear or greed override common sense. A life-changing financial event must be handled with wisdom, not just excitement. As we close this full report, take a moment to reflect. You've waited, sometimes quietly, sometimes with frustration, for what might finally be taking shape. Whether your next step is around the corner or a few days away, keep yourself anchored in facts and grounded in purpose. When the time comes, you'll be glad you stayed prepared. Thank you for staying with us here on Iraqi Dinar News. If this report has helped you gain clarity or direction, please consider liking the video, subscribing for future updates, and sharing your story in the comments, especially how long you've held your IQD or VND. Until next time, stay aware, stay patient, and stay safe.